Hello, good evening, everyone. I welcome all of you on behalf of Isha Special Interest Group Private Practice in Audiology. Friends, we are all going through a very difficult time. The entire nation is on its testing period. We, as frontline workers, will still always have to be on our toes. I wish a speedy recovery to my colleagues and everyone who is suffering from not just COVID but all the other elements. Friends, in difficult times, like how you see present time, we all start losing our motivation, patience, and most importantly, we start disconnecting, which means no communication. In such a scenario, it's difficult to maintain a balance between personal and professional life. Today, on our seventh webinar, we have an amazing speaker, Mr. Fanil Shah, who will guide us to make ourselves stronger through better communication, not theoretically, but practically, professionally, emotionally, philosophically, and most importantly, spiritually. So we can have better communication and maintain a healthy balance in our personal and professional life, and also keep our spirit of serving the society high. Today, he is going to talk to us on Shravanam, Foundation of Life and Living. Now, I would like to introduce, yeah, Mr. Fanil Shah, a friend of mine. He works as innovation lead talent and transformation at Accenture Global IT service provider. He is responsible for fostering innovation culture for 1.6 plus lakh employees. He is accredited design thinking, business storytelling, and innovation coach. He has also mentored, facilitated, and shaped multiple innovation workshops for his client and 1,000 plus executives. Working in ID industry for last 20 years, he has performed consulting role in US for 8 years. He completed his education in BE Production Engineering, MA Philosophy, Mumbai University, and 2 years post-graduation course at Tathavaja Vidyapit, Thane, established by Pujya Pandurang Shastri Athavla, who is called Pujya Dadaji. He has deep passion for Indian and Western philosophy, including Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Conducted multiple sessions related to show topics at various, including selected US University, NMIMS, Educational Institute of Keshav Shrishti, as well as global residential camps. So here I welcome Mr. Fanil Shah, an enthusiastic and amazing personality. Fanil Shah, now mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Devangi, and really a very good evening to all the privileged people who are here. And when I'm using this word privilege, I'm not just using it just to make you all feel good. I have a reason why I'm using this word privilege, and I will, in this next 1 hour, I'll tell you why you are the privileged ones. So, really, thank you again, the entire association, for giving me this opportunity to come and interact with such a group of people who are trying to help patients to improve one of the capabilities which God has bestowed upon us. So you are in a very noble profession, and to get in this opportunity to talk with people like you itself is a great opportunity for me. Thanks once again. So today, interestingly, our topic, right, it is about Shravanam. And when this word comes to us, it's a Sanskrit word, as we call Shravanam, right, listening. And when we talk about this word, we are, it seems listening is what? Sometimes we take it, it's we feel it's very uh, basic thing, right? We are listening, but it is not just basic. It is a foundation of life, and it is a foundation of living. And my endeavor in next 1 hour is to not only prove this, but convince you and really have a key takeaway as an outcome that you will feel that yes, Shravanam is indeed a foundation of life and living. So while we embark on this immersive journey of Shravanam, right, for the next 1 hour, I would like to make a small disclaimer. I hope I can do that. right? So the disclaimer is that you all have been always hearing to your patients, right? But I hope that today you give me patient hearing. Okay. So the reason is that in this virtual world, it's very easy for each one of you, even if I'm been on the other side of the attending a webinar, very, very easy. We will be getting distracted. We're having a lot of WhatsApp pop-ups going on, and today's situation is also not great. Even for well-being, some messages comes and a lot of other things going on. We all are working from home. So very natural for us to get distracted and nothing wrong. My only earnest wish is that if possible, if you can keep aside the next 1 hour to be in this immersive journey with me, then probably we can discover things together. So that's just a disclaimer to have the patient hearing for the next 1 hour. So with that, I want to get started in this journey. And while I get started in this journey, I would like to, first share a small story. There was a class of 7th grade students, and in that, multiple children were there in the classroom, and teacher gave an assignment to everyone. Assignment given to them was, children, write down the 7 wonders of the world. Very simple assignment, right? So everyone, started writing down, and a lot of thoughts came to their mind, and all the famous 7 wonders came to their mind. Some started writing about Great Wall of China, Taj Mahal, Colosseum, Basilica, etc., etc. There was one girl who was thinking a lot. The teacher thought that maybe she is a slow learner or having some other kind of problems. So she thought, let me go and ask her. She asked the child, what is the problem? Why you are not able to write? She says that there's so many wonders. I'm finding it difficult to write. Teacher just laughed sarcastically within herself and said, this child seems like a duffer. She doesn't know. But she said, okay, let me give her time. While all the kids, remaining kids just gave the paper away, this child took some time, but then she also gave the paper back to the teacher. And when teacher got the paper back, teacher was shocked and astonished to hear the answers written by that girl. That girl, with a very small age, wrote wonders of the world, in which teacher was completely taken aback. Right? So what are the wonders of the world she wrote? Okay. So this is the wonders of the world she wrote. She said, the first wonder of the world is to see. Very, very beautiful wonder of the world. Yes, I can see. I can see with my eyes. God has given me this gift. Second wonder of the world, to hear. I can listen to the sound everywhere. That is the biggest gift of God to me. Wonder of the world. The third is to touch. Right? I can touch. The fourth is to taste. Another wonder organ given to us by God. Then to feel. Right? Then to laugh. And finally to love. So, with so many wonders given to us by the God, we start really thinking about it, that why we are not reflecting upon it. Sometimes this thought comes to our mind that God has given us so many wonders, then why aren't we reflecting upon it? Because it is a normal human tendency for all of us to take things for granted. Yes, we take things for granted. So even listening, hearing is the biggest gift of God, but you all are privileged because you are helping people to overcome this difficulty. When you work with them, you understand that when they struggle to listen, you help them to provide that ability. You are trying to reinforce that gift of God back to them, right? So let's explore this journey of Shravanam. While we explore this journey, I would like to first have a small poll done to just see like what each one of us feel when we deal with our patients, when we interact with them. What do we feel is our level of empathy? Empathy, in a very simple word or simple language, means to see in the shoes of the opposite person. When I say I'm empathy for you, I will be able to connect with you. I'll be able to see through your eyes. So let's do this first poll and understand that how do you self-rate yourself? This is for your own analysis, right? So how do you self-rate yourself in on a scale of 0 to 10? So Amulya, can we have this poll one? Yes. So in this poll, as you see, in the current role, how much do you empathize seeing through their eyes? There means the patients. Provide your self-assessment score here. This is from a rating of 0 to 10. So if you feel it's very, very low, if you don't think it is there, it is 0. If you feel it's low, between 0 to 4, you can click on the A option. If you feel it is okay, 4 to 6. If you see it's above average, it is 6 to 8. And if it is very high, then it is like 8 to 10. So I would encourage all of you to just do your self-assessment. And this is just for your own honest self-discovery. So the poll has started. You can start clicking on the responses. Yeah. So I think overwhelmingly, if I look at this, 74% of you feel that it is on the below, like 8 and below. Okay, and there are 22% which you feel it is between 0 to 6, and then there are good amount of 25, 26% you feel that is above 8, which is very good. Let's keep this assessment with us. Now, let's explore further on this journey of Shravanam. Okay, in the Western culture, in the Occidental culture, as we call it, in the Occidental culture, there is always respect given for a person who is well read. Means someone who has really read a lot of things. We really give value to that person, and we call it as a well-read person. Even if you look in today's images where you feel that people are called in panel interviews, etc., you will see when they come, the backdrop is full of library books. A lot of books are there, and that is where the respect is given. So that is true in the Occidental culture. But there's a difference. Difference is there in the Oriental culture from where we come. Here, we do give respect to the people who is well read, but the more respect or the more admiration is for the people who is actually well heard. Yes, it is well heard. What do you mean by well heard? The person is actually called Bahushrut. Bahushrut means the one who has really listened to many things. And I will prove this why it is very, very important. Because whenever you are interacting with books, again, I'm a very, very big admirer of books, and I sincerely believe books are our friend, philosopher, and guide. But finally, whenever you interact with books or any other thing, there is some kind of a passivity. It is not like a Chaitanya talking to a Chaitanya, spirit talking to a spirit. As even our Plato said, letters are dead. But when you are talking from person to person, spirit to spirit, Chaitanya to Chaitanya, there is a difference, there is a connectivity. And that is why Bahushrut is given more importance than well-read in the Occidental culture. We say, who is this guy? You remember, you should take advice from this guy. Why? Because he's Bahushrut. That itself proves that listening, Shravanam, is very, very, very important. Okay, let us explore more examples. Why do you feel that, or why I want to say that Shravanam itself is very, very foundation? Let me give you 3 examples which will really illustrate this. The first example, I will talk about Arjun from Mahabharata. You all know about Arjun. There is a very interesting story about Arjun, that he was definitely learning the mastery of bows and archery. One night, he observed that there was a sound, and he saw that Bhim actually stood up from his bed, and he tried to follow behind the Bhim. And what he found that Bhim went to the Sudampuri, which is like where the food is kept. And when he saw that, he just followed Bhim there in the Sudampuri, and he saw that Bhim was taking out his favorite food, which is like kheer, and he was eating kheer. and he was enjoying. And it was all night, there was no vision. So Arjun asked that how it is possible for you to go and find kheer in such a night? It's very so difficult for me. I just followed you. Then Bhim told him that when I want to, really take the food, why should I require eyes? I can smell the food and can find it out. So then Arjun thought, if my brother can smell the food and find it out without the using eyes, why can't I put the bow and why can't I shot arrows without keeping my eye blindfolded? So he kept in the night he started practicing, blindfolded his eye and started shooting arrows. And that's where the Sabda Vedi Bran, or striking the arrow with the sound, he developed that. And when his teacher Dronacharya saw that, he told Arjun that because of your curiosity, athato brahma jignasa, athato jignasa is is a wonder, right? The curiosity. Even Plato says philosophy begins in wonder. So I will make this guy the biggest archer in the world. Same story about Abhimanyu, when he was in his mother's womb, right? And Subhadra was listening to the story of Chakravyu, how to penetrate the Chakravyu, and Krishna was explaining. Subhadra was active and listened, and that's why whatever Abhimanyu in the mother's womb listened to how to get inside the Chakravyu, he was able to say one day in the battlefield, the crucial day, where otherwise Yudhishthira had to surrender. But unfortunately, Subhadra slept, and she could not do active listening about how to break the Chakravyu. That's another part of the story. But at least this is that the womb in the Garb listened actively. Okay, and I'll tell you my own personal story about it. As when Devangi ma'am was giving the introduction, she mentioned I was in US for 8 years, so both of my daughters are born there. When my elder daughter was born in Atlanta, few months before the delivery, when we went to doctor and in the scan, what they found out is that the head position is not normal. So what will happen is, if it is not getting rectified, then the normal delivery may not happen. The doctor gave me a suggestion that why don't you talk to the child in the womb and in a particular direction, and maybe the head can get tilted. And we took that opinion and we started practicing that. We started doing that active talking for few weeks, and then fortunately, the delivery came normal. But when in US, that you can be within the labor room with your wife and be in entire procedure, like only cut my umbilical cord. And when my daughter was given in my lap and I recited the same thing which I was talking to her, what nurse told me is that she is able to identify her voice. How did she got my voice? Because it was in the womb she was listening to my voice. There was an active listening. So that is my own experience. And that is why even Shastra were given a lot of importance in our culture. In Shastra, the debate used to happen by talking, active listening and talking. You listen when you talk. It is not about reading, it was about talking and discussion. When Shankaracharya will meet Mandan Mishra, they do Shastra. And it was about active dialogue. So Shravanam is the most foundation of learning in our life, right? And that is why you see that even when the child was sent to Tapovan, it was about they need to first listen actively to the Guru, what Guru is preaching. And that served as a basic foundation to them to build their journey towards learning, right? So Shravanam is very, very important. Even the examination they used to take, they used to call Salaka methodal. What is Salaka method? Let's say I have a book. So if I have a book, I'll just open any page of the book, and let's say this is page number 56, and I'll ask student, okay, can you explain what is the sutra here? Can you recite the sutra and explain the meaning? So it was extempore, that kind of a method. So what I'm trying to say summary is that foundation to life, foundation to learning was Shravanam. I'll give you more examples to prove this. Let's talk about bhakti. Bhakti is a very big thing in our life, right? We want to embrace the path of devotion, the path of bhakti. There also we have a ninefold path, which is called Navada Bhakti. Navada means nine. So all these 9 steps are there. What is the first step? It is Shravanam. It starts from Shravanam. Listen, hear. Very, very important. Then Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So what it starts? What is the foundation? It is Shravanam. Okay. Now let me take you one step higher. You will say, okay, but I believe in a lot of philosophical construct and philosophical things. I'm a follower of Vedant and I believe the knowledge path. Fine. What is the foundation of knowledge path in Vedant? It is Shravanam. Shravanam, Mananan, Nidhyasan. First listen. Listen to the scripture. Listen to Guru. Start from listening to Guru. Listen to the things. Listen to the knowledge. Then you do reflection on that listening, which is called Manan. Like how does the animals ruminate, right? What they eat. Similarly, you should do Manan. And finally, Nidhyasan. You should practice whatever you have reflected. So this is a threefold path. Now, interestingly, you see, in any ways, you take about learning, you take about bhakti, you take about jnana. In any way, what is the foundation? I have not made this up. It is Shravanam. So, don't you feel that you will agree with me that Shravanam is indeed the foundation of life, foundation of learning, foundation of bhakti, foundation of knowledge. And that is why it is very, very important for all of us. At listening, right? The fundamental gift of God, which we have got. Let me advance my argument further. I'll give you one more example, irrefutable example. The greatest knowledge on this earth, the concise knowledge of all the Vedas and Upanishads, has come to us in none other than the form of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And how this Bhagavad Gita evolved? It was a dialogue. It was an active dialogue of two individuals, right? Arjun, like us as a youth, had a dilemma, confusion, and he put down his bows and arrows and he says, I don't know. I am Gandivam Sansati Astra, Romaharsha Sharire Me. I'm not able to understand. I'm really, he was under complex. He was perspiring. And, he was getting a lot of different kind of thoughts, wavering thoughts. Brahmati Mana. And in that time, he was full of delusion. That time, Krishna did active listening to him. He actually explained him what you mean by the journey of life. Each and everything in Gita was an answer to the question of Arjuna. You look at most of the chapters of Gita, chapter 3, you see chapter 12, many of the chapters, right? Most of those chapters start with first the dialogue of Arjuna and then Krishna responds. In those chapters where even there is not the first dialogue of Arjuna, there is still a dialogue of Arjuna in that part of the chapter later on. Everywhere Arjuna asks the question, even I want to know, Sita Pragnasya ka bhasa samadhi sasta keshava, and that comes Sita Pragna Yaga, Sita Pragna Darshan. He says, okay, how to find what is the differentiate between form God and formless God? Start the 12th chapter. Every chapter of Gita has come with a dialogue because Krishna wanted this confused Arjun to become convinced Arjun. He wanted Arjun to go to confidence. He wanted Arjun to commit to his real dharma. So that was the whole journey of taking a confused Arjun to a convinced Arjun. And in all journey, he tried to answer to and overcome all his complexes, all different kind of complexes, and convince him from complexes to conviction. He took him to that path. And that's where Arjun finally commits. The one who was saying my, Gandivam Sansati Astra, Roma Harsha Sharire Me, the same guy blows the crunch and says, Karishye Vachanam Tava. I am ready and determined to fight. What was that? 90 minutes of active listening and dialogue and counseling, because of which Arjun stood up in the middle of battlefield when millions of people were there, but this was the greatest warrior of that time, having a dilemma, having confusion. And that's where Gita comes to his rescue. It is Shravanam, active Shravanam. And there he made this jewel of mankind, which today all of us are getting that prasad because of Arjun's efforts. Shravanam, very, very, very important thing in our life. So by all this means, what I mean to say is that Shravanam is foundation to life, learning, bhakti, knowledge, and all aspects connected to us. Right? So I have tried to answer the first fundamental question, why? Why Shravanam? And you see the reasons why you see Shravanam is given so much importance, throughout our life. Now, as we take this journey further, right, what we want to do is we want to appreciate this Shravanam to the next level. What do you mean by appreciate to the next level? Means we want to take it further, that how can we practice Shravanam in my life, right? How can I go to the next level of practicing Shravanam in my life? What are the techniques that can help me to develop this Shravanam in my life? So as we go further, I would like all of you to watch a small video of Julian Treasure with me, where he talks about the listening, the power of listening, and he comes across a very first interesting technique called rasa, derived from Sanskrit word ras. We'll see that, and then I'll discuss upon it. So Amulya, I hand it over to you to present that video to all of us.
We are losing our listening. We spend roughly 60% of our communication time listening, but we're not very good at it. We retain just 25% of what we hear. Now, not you, not this talk, but that is generally true. Let's define listening as making meaning from sound. It's a mental process, and it's a process of extraction. We use some pretty cool techniques to do this. One of them is pattern recognition. So in a cocktail party like this, if I say, David, Sarah, pay attention, some of you just sat up. We recognize patterns to distinguish noise from signal, and especially our name. Differencing is another technique we use. If I left this pink noise on for more than a couple of minutes, you would literally cease to hear it. We listen to differences, we discount sounds that remain the same. And then there is a whole range of filters. These filters take us from all sound down to what we pay attention to. Most people are entirely unconscious of these filters, but they actually create our reality in a way because they tell us what we're paying attention to right now. I'll give you one example of that. Intention is very important in sound, in listening. When I married my wife, I promised her that I would listen to her every day as if for the first time. Now that's something I fall short of on a daily basis. But it's a great intention to have in a relationship. But that's not all. Sound places us in space and in time. If you close your eyes right now in this room, you're aware of the size of the room from the reverberation and the bouncing of the sound off the surfaces. And you're aware of how many people are around you because of the micro noises you're receiving. And sound places us in time as well, because sound always has time embedded in it. In fact, I would suggest that our listening is the main way that we experience the flow of time from past to future. So, sonority is time and meaning, a great quote. I said at the beginning, we're losing our listening. Why did I say that? Well, there are a lot of reasons for this. First of all, we invented ways of recording. First, writing, then audio recording, and now video recording as well. The premium on accurate and careful listening has simply disappeared. Secondly, the world is now so noisy, with this cacophony going on visually and auditorily, it's just hard to listen. It's tiring to listen. Many people take refuge in headphones, but they turn big public spaces like this, shared soundscapes, into millions of tiny little personal sound bubbles. In this scenario, nobody's listening to anybody. We're becoming impatient. We don't want oratory anymore, we want sound bites. And the art of conversation is being replaced, dangerously, I think, by personal broadcasting. I don't know how much listening there is in this conversation, which is sadly very common, especially in the UK. We're becoming desensitized. Our media have to scream at us with these kind of headlines in order to get our attention. And that means it's harder for us to pay attention to the quiet, the subtle, the understated. This is a serious problem that we're losing our listening. This is not trivial, because listening is our access to understanding. Conscious listening always creates understanding, and only without conscious listening can these things happen. A world where we don't listen to each other at all is a very scary place indeed. So I'd like to share with you 5 simple exercises, tools you can take away with you to improve your own conscious listening. Would you like that? Good. The first one is silence. Just 3 minutes a day of silence is a wonderful exercise to reset your ears and to recalibrate so that you can hear the quiet again. If you can't get absolute silence, go for quiet. That's absolutely fine. Second, I call this the mixer. So even if you're in a noisy environment like this, and we all spend a lot of time in places like this, listen in the coffee bar to how many channels of sound can I hear? How many individual channels in that mix am I listening to? You can do it in a beautiful place as well, like a lake. How many birds am I hearing? Where are they? Where are those ripples? It's a great exercise for improving the quality of your listening. Third, this exercise I call savoring, and this is a beautiful exercise. It's about enjoying mundane sounds. This, for example, is my tumble dryer. It's a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I love it. Or just try this one on for size. Wow! So mundane sounds can be really interesting if you pay attention. I call that the hidden choir. It's around us all the time. The next exercise is probably the most important of all of these. If you just take one thing away, this is listening positions. The idea that you can move your listening position to what's appropriate to what you're listening to. This is playing with those filters. You remember I gave you those filters at the beginning? It's starting to play with them as levers, to get conscious about them and to move to different places. These are just some of the listening positions or scales of listening positions that you can use. There are many. Have fun with that. It's very exciting. And finally, an acronym. You can use this in listening, in communication, if you're in any one of those roles, and I think that probably is everybody who's listening to this talk. The acronym is RASA, which is the Sanskrit word for juice or essence. And rasa stands for receive, which means pay attention to the person, appreciate, making little noises like, oh, okay. Summarize, the word so is very important in communication, and ask questions afterwards.
So I think, did you find this interesting? A lot of methods that have been preached here. But one of the important method, what you feel here is rasa, right? Ras, the juice, Sanskrit word, where it is saying what is acronym, which we all learn. It's very, very useful way in which we can drive our conversations and make them effective, right? So always this acronym, let's remember this acronym. R stands for receive, A stands for appreciation, S stands for summary, and A stands for ask, right? So this rush, right, we can practice in our life. But I just would like to pause for a moment here because you did some active listening. Which do you feel among all these 4 is something where we are relatively weak in our communication on a relative basis? Again, especially when we are the people from the Oriental culture, right? So which among the 4? And I would like to, that's why I do a small poll here and ask Amulya to do a poll and ask you all that which one from this you feel gets most neglected in our interactions. So you've been with the patients. Is it receive? Is it appreciate? Is it summarize? Is it ask? I know it could be a combination of them. I'm just saying on relative basis. So you all can vote. I think the voting is open. Yeah, I think it's very close between the two, right? I think 1/3 of you feel appreciate, 1/3 of you feel summarize. It's very close, 35-38. It might be just a difference of 1 or 2 individuals, but overwhelmingly you all feel appreciate and summarize. Yes, I think it's very important. I would say, especially if you call about the Oriental culture, appreciate is something which we really lacked, especially in our tradition, that we don't appreciate, and that goes in all relationship. It's not just with our patient, even in our home relationship at home also, right? There'll be very few moments where we will appreciate our spouse or appreciate our kids or vice versa, right? Our parents. And there's always, we'll have a lot of complaint box, but the appreciation box about what people have done to each other, that is relatively less. Or even in, for that matter, what we found a little bit good in the Western culture in terms of that even there is a person who is working in a house, will come, and then we tell him thank you, did this thing, because we'll say, okay, what's the big deal? I'm giving money, right? But it's not like that. And I think that's very, very important, that we should appreciate. And yes, summarize is also very important, because it's not a one-way traffic, right? That you just narrated something and it went. So we need to understand whether what we have communicated has actually gone exactly in the same way to the intent of why I have delivered this. So rasa is very, very important technique which we can use, right, to practice this in our life: receive, appreciate, summarize, and ask. Okay. So now let's build upon this further. Let's understand more. Using this rasa technique, let's also understand more about the empathy. How can we develop empathy in our life? Because empathy is very, very important, right? And to develop empathy, we should have that intent to listen. Because what happens is, we many times listen, but we don't have that intent to listen with the right motive. And that's where, one of my favorite, Stephen Covey, says that most people do not listen with intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. I think we can understand the finer difference between the two, right? I'm just trying to understand, but I want to convey whatever I'm going to convey. So I'm not listening with the intent. But when I'm listening with the intent, yes, I'll try to understand. Maybe whatever comes first in my mind, I may change that, right? And we don't make that much efforts. I think that's very, very important, that we need to develop this thing in life, and that's why empathy becomes very, very important in this scenario. And empathy can help us to go to develop what in today's world we call it the T-shaped personality. What do you mean by T-shaped personality? We all, I think I don't have to do any talk to tell that why expertise is not important. All of you understand. And that expertise gives us depth, right? The depth what we create, either in technology or any of our areas, that is the technology, that is the expertise with the knowledge we acquire. And that is why we get right amount of jobs, or we get a right amount of opportunities to get a lot of patients, etc. So that expertise takes us there, right? That gives us the opening. And expertise, more and more you should develop and make and increase the depth, right? But while we do for the vertical depth, what we miss out, and that is what bigger companies like Apple or Tesla look, is not just expertise. Expertise is fine, we appreciate. But along with the expertise is important is empathy. Empathy is very, very, very important. And that is why along with this vertical depth, there needs to be this horizontal width, which many times we miss out, right? Because expertise can get us the opening, but empathy can help us to close that active engagement, active discussion with our patients, right? We can get more opportunities, but how can that become successful? If we practice empathy. So empathy is very, very important, very, very fundamental thing. And yes, you may think empathy, how can I build empathy? You can. If you can make conscious practice, you can really develop empathy. And that is what many of the models are there to help us here. And I would like to present this one model, which is from Otto Scharmer from the MIT University. It's a very good model. And he has presented this model about the 4 layers of listening, in which we can slowly take our empathy to that particular level. How? The first listening comes from downloading. It's a habit of judgment, right? So whenever we start giving information, we say, okay, what we say is downloading information on me. If I have all the information from Google, I come and take 1 hour from you. After 1 hour of webinar, you will go and say, oh, what, I attended this webinar. It was all the download of Google or download of all these things, or WhatsApp University, right? So this is what reconfirming old opinions and judgments. Then there is a second layer where we get factual, where we start noticing differences, discovering new data. Then it goes to the third level, which is empathetic, and that is where the emotional connection comes. And that last is at the height, where generative from the future of wanting to emerge. Now I'll explain this in the language we will understand, because I'll tell you my own experience. So my parents both, they wanted hearing, they had hearing difficulties. And initially I went to one of the audiologists, and she actually met my mother. And then after looking at the audiogram, she told that, this is the problem. It's a lot of downloading information. This is how your audiogram looks. And then she gave factual differences that now you should have a machine. I will recommend that you go for BTC, but then I think RIC is better than BTC. That's the reason I know all these words. Okay. So from BTC we can go to RIC and etc. etc. And this is what she recommended. And she was very fast. And then she quickly asked my mother, do you have anything? The mother was not able to capture all that information. She said, okay, I'll talk to my son and revert back. What happened? Few weeks later, 1 week later, we were in the clinic of Dr. Devangi. And when we were sitting there, and my mother was there and I was there, my brother-in-law was also there. We all sitting down with Dr. Devangi. And when we were in a discussion, she actually asked my mother normal discussion. And from those casual conversations, he started asking her normal things. And then she created a bond with my mother. And my mother had a lot of apprehension, a lot of reservations for the hearing aids. Then she connected that empathy. She made that connection. And because of that, ultimately, she got convinced to wear the hearing aid. Not only that, my father, who had a greater barrier than him, he also later on got convinced. Why? The difference was empathy. Seeing through another person's eye. So I think that's an evolution. If you see the curve, start downloading. Don't just go in downloading. Factual is 1 second layer. The bigger layer is empathetic, emotional connection, right? And generative is from the future of wanting to emerge bigger thoughts, right? And that's very, very, you need to develop this connection with the person. And here also, stories do help, because I'm a storytelling coach. And one of the definition what I like is, what is the story? Story is the shortest way to connect between two individuals. When we were kids, we learned in geometry, what is a line? Line is the one which connects 2 points, because the point is a zero-dimensional entity. The line is the one which connects 2 points. What I feel is, what is the story? Story is the shortest way in which you can connect between two human beings. And that is where it can help here to make more emotional, empathetic connection. But this model can really help us to create empathy and really practice it. Again, this is not just to gather more sales. It is to really practice it from the heart. That is why you see it's open mind, then open heart and open will. Otherwise, it will not get the desired outcomes. Because when you do it with open heart, you will get those outcomes. Right? So these are we learned Rasa technique. We also learned about these models of evolution of empathy. Now, with this, what we understand is that empathy can be engineered. Yes, empathy can be engineered. And this is practiced to the core by Disney. Walt Disney does this. What they have done is, they've identified 74 moments of truth. What do you mean by these moments of truth? Whenever you go in a Disney, right from you put your car in the parking lot until you experience the entire thing, in the last, if you have the laser show in the Epcot or any other shows which you like, after you experience that, firecrackers, etc., and then you come back, either in your car or going to the Disney shuttle, each and everything is captured. 74 moments are there, 74 interactions in which a cast member or the crew member will interact with the customer. And what they tried to establish is that all these 74 moments of truth, customers should get holistic experience. Empathy can be engineered. You should never say these words, I don't know. You should always engage with the customer. And I've seen that. When I was staying in Atlanta, Orlando was very nearby, and whenever the guest comes, we used to go there. I've been 4 times in Disney, but always I had the greatest of experience as far as the customer care is concerned. Unlike I had a different experience even when I went to the country which is known for its hospitality, like Switzerland. I felt that hospitality was not matching the way I got it in Disney, because Disney really stands apart. Why? Because they practice empathy. Empathy can be engineered, and we can build empathy. Because empathy is very, very important in our life. So there is another way in which we can practice empathy and understand from listeners' point of view. This is the third model which I want to introduce, the last model for today. After we did rasa, which helps us. Second model, we saw that 4 layers of listening. And the third model, and this model I want to introduce to you, called the SCQA model. Now, interestingly, this model is developed by a woman from McKinsey, and she was the only woman to survive a lot of rigors of consulting job in McKinsey, and her name is Barbara Minto. She wrote a very beautiful book called Pyramid Principle, and this model is extracted from that book. What does it say? SCQA model. It is a simple model. Understand the situation, understand the complication, raise the question first, and then provide answer. Our normal tendency is that whenever we jump the gun, we give the answer. That is not active listening. We say, okay, this is that, this is the answer. So if the patient comes, he says, this is the audiogram, this is the problem, we recommend you do this hearing aid, you do this BTC, this thing, you can take from Siemens, Videx, whatever, that's it. No, but have we really understood the situation, complication? Have we really raised the question in the mind of the person? No. What can I do in a different way? Situation. Look, today your audiogram is like this. It is not that bad, but it is really not that great. You are having some difficulties which you are not openly acknowledging. Listen, right now you are whatever, you may be 62. At the age of 66, 70, this will get more complicated. More complication will come because you are more independent. You want to resort to, maybe you are fond of devotional songs, you want to listen to them, you want to watch TV and appreciate, you want to talk to your spouse, to your children, to your grandchildren. You will not be able to enjoy life because finally the hearing also leads to mental wellness, right? There is a connection. If there is no active hearing, it affects the mental health of a person. It's one of the panch indriya, right? And that feeds to the mind. So mind is not powerful, so mental wellness also does not come. So why don't you feel that you should be able to powerfully discuss, have this ability to connect with your children and grandchildren? Don't you think you should be able to connect with spouse? Don't you think you should be able to enjoy your hobbies? Don't you think you will have a more holistic life? Raise the question. So to do that, I think that this aids can really help you. Very different approach, and you see that works. And this is SCQA model. Okay, they are not very complicated. We have to practice it because I fundamentally believe, and I'm using these words very carefully. Deeper the thoughts, simpler the language. I can use a lot of jargons, lot of words. At the end of the day, if nobody understands anything, it does not help. An ideal for this was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, whenever he used to talk, even a 6th grade student used to understand what he talks. He will go in a geek conference in front of geeks. Geeks means the technology guys. And he will still present iPods in such a way that even a 6th grade student can understand. Why? Because deeper the thought, simpler the language. And these models are simpler. We can really practice it. So I encourage that whatever you like, you can practice rasa, you can practice this 4 layers of listening, you can practice the SCQA model, but more fundamentally important is to do Shravanam and engage powerfully with our patients, right? To the people whom we interact. And that is very, very fundamental, right? Now, I would take the discussion to a different level and want to connect from where we started. What we started, 7 wonders of the world. And one of the wonder is to hear. And I will come back to what I said in the start, that I'm talking to a privileged people. But I'm using all my words very, very carefully. Yes, I'm talking to a privileged people because you are really the one who can understand this gift of God in the most powerful way, right? Because God has given us this gift of hearing, gift of listening, right? But we really fail to appreciate that. And that is why one of our Upanishads, totally there are 108 Upanishads known to us. There were more, but the known Upanishads are 108, out of which the major ones are considered 11, on which bhashyas or commentaries are written by acharyas like Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Rimkacharya. One of those 11 Upanishads is called Kena Upanishad. Kena. And the Kena Upanishad raises this fundamental question. Kena Shitam Vach Mimam Badanti Chakshu Shotram Kam Devo Yunaki. Shotra means sound. Where is this sound coming? Who is originating this sound? Are you originating this sound? Where is this sound coming? Where is this sound getting this energy from? Who is supplying this energy to the sound? And now, here I want to tell, let us be intellectually honest. As a human being, God has given us this greatest gift of human. We fail sometimes to appreciate and have the gratitude towards that. This gift is a gift of God. The sound, we know when there is a problem in hearing, but who has created this system? Perfect system from where the sound goes inside and then it goes through all the channels which has been given there, right? All the nerves are there, and then it goes to the auditory organs, and then it goes to the brain and recognizes. There's such a perfect system given, right? Within 1/10 of a second, we have the split reaction. Who has given this persistence of vision, persistence of sound, reflex action? Who has created all this? Today, I would like to tell you one very important thing. There was a church in Singapore, which we thought that people are not grateful to God. So they ran one campaign. It was done very long. It is more than 15, 20 years back. And they ran one campaign. It's a very beautiful campaign. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through that entire campaign. But I've taken some glimpses of that campaign to show to you. And very, very relevant, especially today. Today means specifically today, I'll tell you it is very, very relevant. Because one of those campaigns says, could you imagine the price of an hair? It was brought to you by another supplier. Everywhere at the bottom is written God. Today we are in one of the biggest human pandemic, and the biggest confrontation is supply of oxygen, where even the state and central governments are fighting, right? And imagine at the human level, when we have 3,23,000 cases in India, and we are fighting with oxygen supply. And there is a system designed for 7 billion people, not only human beings, but all the different animals in the world. And you know that marine life is far more bigger and wider than the people who live on the land. They don't have a problem of oxygen. Isn't that greatest supplier design the great design, right? Without doing anything? What Aristotle called an unmoved mover. Without moving, he moves everything. Definitely. And we should, as a profession, noble profession, appreciate and understand this gift of God. Yes, it is really the beautiful gift which God has given to us, right? Similarly, if you miss the sunrise, you can always get another one tomorrow. Who has created this external beautiful world? Such a precise system, right? Even if there is 1 degree here and there between Earth and the moon, we'll get more tides or more water. Or if you go other way around, you will get more problem with the sun. Perfectly balanced system. So when such a great philosopher called Immanuel Kant was thinking only for pure reason, he wrote his first book called Critique of Pure Reason. His second book was Critique of Practical Reason. And his quote unquote, his quote is, two things awed me with wonder. Two things awed me with wonder. The starry heavens above and the moral law within. The external world, the macro world is so powerful that there is a design of a God, right? There is a design of a God. But equally important and powerful is the internal design of the God. And that is why we cannot say that I'm a self-made man. Let us be intellectually honest. God has created us. God has created us in his own image. And not only that, God will even further say that if you think Mona Lisa is stunning, you should look at my masterpiece in the mirror. That is our own self. Such a beautiful human body. The blood vessels, you all know this. I don't have to tell this to you. You all know this. The blood vessel itself in our body, if you take all the arteries and veins and you add them linearly, then it goes over more than 60,000 miles. The Earth's circumference is close to 27,000 miles, something, 27,700 miles. So it can rotate the Earth more than 2 times, almost 2.5 times. From one single body, who has designed this? Like the macro world, which Kant was talking, is also the micro world inside the human body and wonder organ called human ear. And you are the ones who are able to understand this work of God because you can appreciate it, right? So we read someone's book, but you read the book of God. And that is why you are a noble soul. And that is why I use this word privilege, not just for different purpose. This was the reason you are the chosen ones. You can appreciate this intellectual love of God. This is the word coined by one of my favorite philosophers, German philosopher called Spinoza. He calls it intellectual love of God. Intellectually, we should get convinced that yes, every day I am in the shower of God's love. And you can appreciate this through this one organ. And that is why when there is a problem in hearing, you know how people suffer. We take it for granted. But at some age, when that stops working, then we start understanding this gift of God, which we are failing to appreciate otherwise. God has loved us unconditionally. And you all can be instrument of understanding this book of God, the work of God, and also translate these thoughts to all the people you come across. Maybe this is taking to next level, but yes, we can go there. Why not? Because if you go there, then personally I believe, and this is my own personal conviction, that if you turn your profession into the devotion, miracles can happen. If you turn your profession into devotion, miracles can happen. Why? Because with the devotion level, you can get the sense of accomplishment. You can get a sense of purpose to the things what you are doing. Remember, you all know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Starts from physiological needs, food, clothing, shelter. It goes to one layer, then social appreciation, etc. Highest level is sense of fulfillment, self-esteem. Sense of fulfillment comes with a sense of purpose when you are tied to the bigger things. That is what the generative thinking was, the futuristic. And really, really, it can happen. You can turn this around if you can truly understand this intellectual love of God. Because when profession turns to devotion, I truly believe and I truly consider that that can happen. Yes, miracles can happen. These are my contact details. I'm always available for any guidance. I do engage in such kind of consulting workshops. So anytime I'm available from any professional guidance. But this was a short journey of Shravanam, foundation of life, hearing, knowledge, bhakti, and everything what you call it. I specifically kept few minutes available because I know there will be very lot of interesting questions. So I think we have around 15 minutes at least, which we can go through those questions and discuss them so that all of us can draw bigger meaning, draw bigger insights from this. But I should also summarize what we learned, right? The rasa, I should myself follow it. So we went through appreciate active listening, what is Shravanam, why it is foundation of learning, why it is foundation of bhakti, foundation of knowledge. We saw that. Then we understood the active listening, the rasa technique, right? Receive, appreciate, summarize, ask. We also saw that how empathy can be engineered. Go right, not from downloading information, but make an emotional, empathetic connect. And if at all, one more layer, generative connect. And then we also saw the SCQA model, 3. Everything I've kept 3. SCQA model, right? Situation, complication, question, and answer. And then tie back to a bigger purpose. Let's appreciate the intellectual love of God, right? God has given us this greatest gift of human body in the wonder organ human ear. We are able to understand that. Let's be gratitude for that. Let's have appreciation of that. And let's convey that appreciation and gratitude to everyone whom we come across, taking it to the next level. And I'm sure miracles can happen. So I pause here. Let's have some questions and we can have some active discussion on this.
Thank you, Fainal sir, for a wonderful thought. Good evening, audience. It's really best evening, Fennel sir, as we are listening you and have a great privilege to have you on this platform. As I remember a quote, we have 2 ears and one mouth, as we should listen more than we say. You have simplified topic like anything. You are a wonderful human being. I think you are a good life coach also. So I will take some question from audience. There are few questions. Sir, there is one question like, can you explain more about talking Chaitanya to Chaitanya?
Okay, very wonderful question. Chaitanya here means a live human being. So what I meant is that when we say well read, so I'm reading from a book. So finally someone has written a book, and that is why it has been crafted there, right? And that's where Plato says letters are dead. But Chaitanya means there's a human spirit to human spirit, right? And that is why entire knowledge process in our culture was from a guru. When the child at the age of, and it was for both boy and girl, okay, both used to go at certain age to Tapovan. Tapovan was generally outside the city area, and they used to listen. And when listen Chaitanya to Chaitanya, and from there the knowledge used to come. Knowledge was not, okay, let's sit, Arjun. I'm going to tell you this lesson. No, Arjun used to go and listen to his teacher, whatever he's doing, his daily activities, used to follow them. And from there, whenever they used to get time in between, he used to explain, Arjun, this can be done. That is how the knowledge used to happen. When Ram was 16 years, Ram and Lakshman, Vishwamitra came and Vasishtha told Vishwamitra, you should take Ram and Lakshman with you. And in that 8 days, when Ram and Lakshman went to the entire journey, right from Ayodhya, in the end, they went to Mithila. He explained so many things, history, geography, warfare, so many things, in a very, like a discussion between two Chaitanya to Chaitanya. So that is what I meant to say. Human connects with human. And that is why when we say Shravanam, you listen to that discourses, listen to the discourses. And that is the first step of bhakti. You listen to the knowledge from the Guru. That is the first step of Vedanta. Right? Shravanam, then Manan, then Nidhyas. So hearing from Chaitanya, live person to live person, right? Let me put it the other way around. Whatever I said today, I put it in all text and I put it, download information, boom, send it to in WhatsApp. We have WhatsApp University, right? Every day we get so many things. But how many things really changes internally? And why it is not changing is internally? Because we read it, we just stick it aside. But when Chaitanya talks to Chaitanya, when human being talks to human being, there is a possibility where we'll feel a difference. Because when a human, okay, there's another reason, and it's good that you asked me this question. Whenever we talk, right, and this is said by Swami Vivekananda, whenever we say the language and the words, they have a very limited impact, maybe around 1/3 at the most. The 2/3 impact is about the character who is talking. So the same thing, what I'm talking, what you will talk, with Devangi ma'am will talk, with Shrikant sir will talk, everyone will have a different impact. Why? Because based on our own character, it will have a different impact to everyone. So my character also goes in which I'm talking with the words, right? And that is why when Chaitanya talks to Chaitanya, we can draw true meanings, true values in life. And that is why it was very important to have a guru. Very important. Without guru, you cannot get a knowledge. Why? Because just reading the books will not help you. When you talk Chaitanya to Chaitanya, when you talk spirit to spirit, and that is the difference in our Oriental approach. That yes, you need to go and sit there, and then only knowledge comes. I hope I've answered that question and it explains.
And sir, how can we find the best guru? Like there are so many gurus, so.
Oh, that's a little bit of a, we have choice, we have options, right? Plenty of options. This is something where you go in somewhere and you have so many options, then you become confused what to do. But see, today the world has also become very different because unfortunately, it's very sad to say that, but spiritualism also, guru has turned into guruism. Okay, and it has become a big business also. So people actually in the name of spirituality, a lot of businesses. And so how can I able to differentiate between a true guru or a person who is more interested, not in me, but what I think carry in my pocket, right? So he or she is more interested in that. And what I hate, what I see today's problem, I say two problems. I will use the Hindi words because it will explain that better. One is that everything has become more ritual based. Everything, whatever we do, it is not reason based. See, it has become ritual based. And second thing is spirituality, chamatkar ko namaskar. It has become like that. You do something, I'll tell you, instead of this talk, I'll tweak something, 1 pen, I'll make 5 pens, and you all will be, people will get mesmerized. Oh, wow, great. This is something really great. That is not spirituality. That is not spiritualism. So we need to find a guru who is really interested in me, in my progress. Guru is the one who thinks about your shreya. There are two things what is called in our shastras. One is called pray, which is in material thing, material knowledge, and which helps in the material development. And there is also called, second is called Shire, which is for my spiritual development and which for really takes me to the next level. So the Guru is the one who thinks about my Shire. Why? Because Guru may tell you get up at 5 o'clock. Now, if I get a teacher, tell me how many parents, how many kids will accept a teacher who ask him to do work at 5 o'clock? Every next day they'll complain to their parents, and teacher will be out. Because we don't like, because the teacher is thinking about the shire, not the prey, not the immediate gratification, not the immediate pleasure. So a guru is the one who thinks about the long term, who wants, because when you go to him or her, why should I be, it can be him or her. When I go to him or her, they will try to think, how can I take this person to the next step? So when we feel that we can find that inner connect with someone, when we experience with that someone, that time we will know that yes, he or she can be my true guru. Because the guru is the one who will never profess that, look, I'm guru, now you respect me. The best part of the guru is he never proclaim as a guru. He will never claim guruism. Okay, I'm guru, like this. Ja beta tera bhala ho jayega. That means there is some problem. And I feel, this is my personal thing. It should be, he feels like us. Why? Because he wants to say that like you, I'm like you, but like how I have become, you can also turn. That is why they live normal like us. They wear normal things. They eat normal things. They sleep normally. They talk normally. And that is where you can find greatness in them. So we need to find that, and that really inspires us to go to the next level. That is a great question.
I will take another question, sir. One of audience, he wants to elaborate you on fourth layer of listening. Little more elaboration on that.
I was expecting this question, and that time when I was explaining, I thought that I will leave it because somehow I was having that deja vu that this question will come from someone. Now it's a little bit deep research they have done, and there are a lot of other white papers also of deep listening, and I can share with this forum. There is also one research model being done in Australian tribe. There's one white paper, and I thought initially I'll take that, but it will be too much content, so I did not brought it up here. But that is about deep listening. So when you're talking about deep listening, there's a generative thing, what you're talking about, the fourth layer, right? When you go from downloading information, then the next level about factual, then then you go to empathetic. There's generating means you generate the vision and future together. And maybe I can connect Amit sir to your previous question also. That when Guru talks to a student, right? It is more of a generative talk because it generates new insights, generating new future, right? Or let's say when there was dialogue between Swami Vivekananda and Ramakrishna Paramahansa, it was a very different level of dialogue, right? And that generated many things. It was not just empathy. Empathy connection was there. It was much beyond that. And a lot of new things evolved for humanity, right? So there are a lot of instances when these things happen, right? And there are those things when people have those layer of listening, when maybe what you can say, Plato was a disciple of Socrates. When Plato would have taken out of Socrates, he would have generated new insights. And then Aristotle was a disciple of Plato. He would have generated new insights from Plato and build upon it. So generative listening is that you generate future, you generate vision, you generate insight, and that is where you go and open up your will. Will means will to change. That is where the samarpan also comes, right? So when you go from open mind, then you go to open heart, then you go to open will. I'm ready to that level, and that's where I'm ready to travel that journey together. So in that sense, they have done. But see, mind you, that also when they did this is a modern research. So how much they have gone to the old ancient examples, of our culture also is one of the things. But what they have said is that a lot of new things can emerge in terms of future. You can become a lot of futuristic, new insights, and you can really change and alter the course. So that listening, that engagement goes to a different level. And that is what is the generative listening. That is the fourth layer.
Wonderful, sir. One practical question have been asked, like listening and active listening. So it also depends on the speaker. If listener is not understanding somewhere, or he just wants to say that what strategies he should follow, and what he can request to speaker if he is not understanding.
See, what we can do is, if you remember this Julian Treasure's video, and I can share the link also we can share it to the links to everyone so they can go through it in their leisure time also. So you talk about listening positions, right? So there are different listening positions which you can try out. So for example, there is also a listening position called active listening and passive listening. There's a reductive and expansive, right? So different listening positions. So what we can do is, for example, sometimes we are doing a passive listening and the person is, going in a different direction. Then we can start doing active listening and interrupt and say that, do you mean this? Sometimes they can summarize and paraphrase. Is this what you are asking? Is this what you want to go? Maybe we can get them course correction done, because maybe what is happening, that person who is sharing is not very clear in his or her thoughts. So it's getting in a different direction and we feel talk is getting wavered. So that's why in our corporate language, what they say, especially the senior guy in the call, he'll say, cut the chase. What do you exactly want? Come to the point. That is what this means, that you don't keep talking in a different direction. Tell me exactly what you want. Okay, you want budget, you want this, you want resources, what do you want? So that is what sometimes we need to summarize that. Sometimes we also need to change our listening position to get that person on the track. But if we really make honest efforts to engage with the person, I'm sure we can take that person in our discussion back. Again, the fundamental thing is empathy. If I really want to connect with that person and engage with that person, no matter, we can do. Let's talk about our old parents also, right? Sometimes they may not completely talk logically sometimes, but what they want. In fact, they even don't want active listening. They want passive. Just listen. Most of the times, I think in your profession, the biggest thing, what is the service you are doing, would be with elder people when listening to them, because in home also nobody listens to their parents that much. And I've been honest, I'm also guilty of that. And we don't spend that much quality time with our old parents to listen to them. What they just need is, like, just spend 15-20 minutes, just sit beside them, keep listening, don't interrupt. And they don't have any questions. They just want someone should be heard. I need to be heard. Sometimes that also is the reason. And so sometimes we need also have that patience. Maybe that person is not getting opportunity to talk anyway. Even if you feel wavered, illogical, let that person vent out. Let them open out. But then you can tell, okay, now you said this, what exactly you are trying to do? Summarize, ask, is this what you are asking? How can we have a further discussion on this? What is the problem? Or maybe take from active to passive or passive to active and see whether that helps. Reductive to expansive position. Right? We can take one of those listening position and see if that really breaks the ice.
Yes, sir, it will really help in counseling.
Yeah.
One more question is coming. How Shravanam gets converted to concentration? How to make that journey becomes more effective?
Okay. So again, concentration in today's world also means very, very different things to different people. And unfortunately, some of the words have become too much casual, like meditation. Everywhere people use the word meditation. That I'm doing meditation. But if you actually know, meditation is not very easy. Even in Ashtanga Yoga, what Patanjali Muni says, right? You actually have to start from yam, niyam. Then you go to that pratyahar, dhyana, dhyan, samadhi. Samadhi is meditation. That's the ultimate step. But we want to climb to the 7th or 8th step even before doing the first 5-6 steps. We need to first create the quality, the yam. We have to follow niyam. We have to follow those practices in our life, right? So those are the things we need to follow. So when we are saying that, concentration, coming to that actual question, what is asked, concentration. Concentration is really a very high level of practice that can develop. One, I get my fundamentals and morality right in first place. So I cannot be an immoral human being and just think I'll start practicing concentration, right? So Shravanam is a fundamental thing, what to listen, right? Whom to listen. And if we start getting purity in listening, because listening impacts everything. What do we listen, comes out. See, very natural, right? I don't know, I've seen that everyone must have experienced. Even some movie songs, sometimes even if I don't like it, but if I just hear in that movie for 2 to 3 times, next day that words comes to my this thing very casually, because it doesn't impact. It just keeps ruminating in my mind. There is constant churning that happens. So that's the reason if you do active Shravanam, the good Shravanam, then what will happen? That good thoughts will come and the concentration will come. Let's say whatever I'm concentrating on, right? My thoughts are very clear. Then only I can get peace. If I'm not at peace, I cannot do concentration. If I'm not at mental peace, there are 1,000 things burning, right? If let's say someone is injured, like someone is on a COVID situation in my family and really some emergency situation, I said I'll do concentration. I don't think we can do that. It's constantly my mind is saying, what would have happened? Had he got medicine? Has he got drug? Has he got oxygen? Right? So concentration comes when we get peace to ourselves. And to do that, if we do some active listening, Shravanam, because the question was both linking Shravanam to concentration, right? So if I do the proper Shravanam, the right Shravanam, listening to the right scriptures, to the right things, to the right guru, to the right words, right wisdom, then there is chances that I can start implementing or practicing in my life. If I start doing it, I may attend to that situation and level where I get a bit of a peace with myself, and that creates the pathway to do effective concentration. When I can be, I can concentrate whatever you are concentrating on, right? Whether you're concentrating on a form God or a formless thing, and again, this is a different spiritual topic. And whatever I'm concentrating on, it can happen. And also, if you are, again, because this also enters to the world of Murti Puja, scientific Murti Puja, which Gita explains. If I'm actually concentrating on a form God, then I should listen to what are the qualities of that form God, right? Then only I can concentrate. So if I want to concentrate, let's see, on Ram, but I really don't know who is Ram, or I only know Ram as told to us by Ramanand Sagar, then probably I may not be able to appreciate Ram in entirely, right? Because there is one layer, I'm not ridiculing him, but that is a mythological way in which Ram is introduced. But it is a historical, there is a philosophical, and there is a spiritual angle to Ram. If I take that layers and understand, then probably my concentration may go to that higher level. So that way it helps. So if I know Ram or if I know Krishna holistically, then I can, probably concentrate on him. Rama Bhutva, Ramam Yajit. Krishnam Bhutva, Krishnam Yajit.
I think you have simplified this question. And I think we can take one more question, Devangi ma'am.
Sure.
Okay. How do you understand a person is listening actively to you? So
I think this is the thing. I think you should ask all these questions to the spouses, right? Husband and wife. How do they know that? Okay, we say we are listening, and after 2 or 3 minutes, say, okay, what did I say? And you say, okay, your mind is not here. You're not listening. You're pretending to listen, but you're not listening because you are maybe, thinking what is the IPL score, etc. And you are just giving a ear physically, but you're not mentally there. I think the best way is to summarize. That is what I receive, appreciate, summarize, and ask. Summarize. Also, whenever we do a discussion, summarize. What is the final outcome? This is what I meant. Is this what you meant? But sometimes that is also not very clear. You may do a conversation. Person may think A, I may think B. There is no convergence, right? There is a divergence. Convergence can happen that I start with A and then I end with an A. That is why sometimes it is said you start what you want to say what you say, and then you end that I told you this. That is also one of the model to communication. So that way you are very clear that yes, this is Shravanam, this is what is Shravanam, and I told you Shravanam in this way. So that is how trying to again connect back the dots together. That is a good way of knowing that person is listening. But if person is doing hypocrisy, thy name is civilization. That is what Shakespeare says, right? If people are hypocritically listening just to sound pleasing to another person, they will never do active listening. So that is another thing. So we should be careful that person are genuinely they want to do a dialogue or not. But if the genuine dialogue, then obviously you can strike the discussion. Paraphrase is a very good thing. Paraphrase is a very good way of confirming that this is ask.
Are you through, Amit?
Yes.
No, sir. Please, sir, Srikanth, sir. You can.
There is one very interesting question, Mr. Fennel. I just wanted to ask you this. We have different senses, not only hearing. So different senses have different pathways and different these things. So your spiritual inclination and the heightened enlightenment, will it get sharpened because of only one particular sense, or that every sense contributes to it? There's a question about it. So we are only always talking about Shravanam in relation to other senses, how it is this thing.
Yeah, so the God has given us all these senses for a purpose, right? So it is not that if Shravanam, if hearing was the only thing, then he would have not given us the comprehensive holistic thing. What we said, the foundation. Foundation means, let's say if I say the foundation subject, right? When I say foundation subject is this, that doesn't mean other subjects are not taught. Other subjects are also required. But sometimes some things are foundation to do some things. When Plato established his academy, he told that if you don't know mathematics, don't enter my academy. Right? Because if you don't know mathematics, you can't go in abstract. If you can't go in abstract, you can't enter the world of philosophy. So in a correlation, what I mean to say is that this organ is one of the foundation organ which can simulate many things. And that was the basis. In fact, you also know, I probably, I'm talking in the olden times, even our history was not documented. And that is one of the biggest problem we have today. It was always gone with oral tradition, right? Even Vedas, people were reciting Vedas and Vedas were preserved. So there were people who have been dedicated that you preserve this, you preserve this, you preserve this. Even in the Mahabharata versions, right? Somebody is reciting a Mahabharata to someone reciting to someone, it got translated down to the Aegis. Like Ramayana and many other scriptures, many other Upanishads. All the Upanishads are dialogue. All the Upanishads are dialogue. Nachiket, Satyakam, what are they? They are characters. They are doing a dialogue. All the Upanishads originated from dialogue. That is why listening is very given foundation importance. Having said that, if you just listen and stop there, it doesn't mean that way. All organs are very, very important, right? If I listen, then equally sight is also very, very important. Other organs are also equally important. But because that initiation was predominantly happening of knowledge, so the listening thing, it was made as the initial introduction of the foundation. Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhyas. Shravanam, Kirtanam. That is why, maybe in that sense, the foundation. That is why our topic title does not say that this is the only important thing. We say it's the foundation. Foundation is through hearing, and hearing is given predominance because of that. But suppose what happens if someone doesn't have hearing? Can he not get knowledge? Definitely he or she can get knowledge, but then God gives other sharpness to his other organs, right? We always know, and you all know that better, that when the person is not, in fact, Dr. Devangi ma'am only told my father that he is having a problem with his vision. And he says he's more sharper than my mother. Why? Because his eye is not working. So God has given us that gift, that other organ will help if one organ does not work. So yes, everyone is important. Everything has its own place. Why we give a little bit of more importance to Shravanam in terms of foundation as an initiation, because that is when spirit comes to spirit. That's the first step of initiation. But if I don't get, let's say I'm not able to hear to a guru, but I get the books and I read from it, is it I'm not going to get knowledge? No, you can. Because today, if I am not having that live Chaitanya, I can still get indirectly connected to that.
Thank you.
Nice. So we create the foundation, all our professionals.
Yes. I would
So,
just like to say that yes, profession to turn to devotion, and that is where intellectual love of God, if we really have that, and we develop that and that gratitude, and we can take it to the next level, and that is why you all are privileged and chosen ones, and you can really take it to that next level. And I feel that this is the most important thing, and one of the my own motives to engage with this such a privileged people.
thank you. Thank you so much, Fernal, for such a wonderful explanation about the listening Shravanam. And you gave a very good recipe of rasa and SCQA and wonderful models to us to practice in our profession. And I'm so grateful to you that on just my request, you customize the whole session for us, and you did it so beautifully. I'm so grateful. On behalf of Isha Special Interest Group, I would like to thank you that from bottom of our heart that it's great that you have been to our platform and you have given us such a wonderful information, and I think it will be very helpful to all the professionals. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine.
Thank you.
Shrikant sir, any comments?
No, thank you. Thank you. I think we can now close.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Amulya,
you.
you can-
Thank you.
And thanks everyone to spend your time. 90 minutes into the time of crisis hitting us, and whatever 60, 70 people came and you gave your time. I think that is also, you all try to practice your Shravanam. So I'm thank to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.